Is New Zealand heading back to its violent past? Tusiata Avia from Christchurch, New Zealand, is a supposed poet and writer whose book entitled The Savage Coloniser was turned into a show for the Auckland Arts Festival. The following video clip shows Tusiata Avia reciting extracts from one of her poems about Captain James Cook. The poem imagines a fantasy scenario in which a group of brown girls, presumably she means Māori girls, plan to take violent revenge on Captain Cook, or white men like him, who might be thieves or rapists or kidnappers or murderers. Have a listen, but be warned that explicit language profanities have not been bleeped out. Following the clip, there are comments from Sean Plunket, the platform New Zealand, and also from Brooke van Velden MP, Deputy Leader of the New Zealand ACT Party. Following their commentary, prepare to be even more shocked and disgusted.
250th anniversary of James Cook's arrival in New Zealand. Hey James, yeah, you, in the white wig and that big endeavour, sailing the blue, blue ocean like a big asshole. Fuck you, bitch. James, I heard someone shoved a knife right up into the gap between your white ribs at Kealakekua Bay. I'm gonna go there, make a big makahiki luau, cook a white pig, feed it to the dogs, and fuck you up, bitch. Hey James, it's us. These days we're driving around in SUVs and looking for you. All white men like you who might be thieves or rapists or kidnappers or murderers, yeah, or any of your descendants or any of your incarnations, 'cause you know, hey bitch, we're gonna fuck you up. Tonight, James, it's me, Leilani, Danielle, and a car full of brown girls. We find you on the corner of the Justice Precinct. You've got another woman in a headlock, and I've got my father's pig hunting knife in my fist. And we're coming to get you, sailing around in your resolution, your friendship, your discovery, and your fucking free love. Watch your ribs, James, 'cause I'm coming with kalani o pu'u, kane kapolei, kana ina, ke awe o pala, kula ili moku, who is a god, and Nua'a, who is king with a knife. And then, James, then we're gonna fuck you up for good, bitch.
Because of the nature of the poem, prompted numerous complaints to the Race Relations Commission, the Human Rights Commission, which rejected them all, basically on the grounds that it didn't want to be nasty to brown people and that you cannot be racist to white people and to white men. That was fundamentally what the Human Rights Commission said. It did nothing. The Media Council describes the poem as a violent fantasy in which the poet addresses explorer James Cook from the view of a colonised woman. Well, she's never been colonised. She was born contemporaneously, using Cook as a personification of colonisation. And they look at the principles that they use to guide them in making decisions, and they say issues of gender, religion, minority group, sexual orientation, age, race, colour, or physical or mental disability are legitimate subjects for discussion where they are relevant and in the public interest, and publications may report and express opinions in these areas.
We have a lot of money going into creative arts. What we don't want to see is hate-fueled art being funded by the government. You know, what is the difference here between a piece of art that says that it wants to get rid of James Cook and all of its descendants and is making hate-filled racist statements? What difference is that to anything else that's come out of the Christchurch attack?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Many people complained to the New Zealand Human Rights Commission and the New Zealand Media Council, suggesting that Tusiata Avia's poem incited racial violence and racial hatred, and that the poem reflected borderline terrorism akin to ISIS beheadings. Their complaints were tossed out on the grounds that the complainants have the right to express their disgust and disagreement and take a different view of colonisation, but they do not have the right to not be offended. I guess on that note, the New Zealand Human Rights Commission and New Zealand Media Council would have no issues at all with extracts from articles held at Victoria University of Wellington, which are not violent fantasy poetry art, but instead violent facts from historical New Zealand documents. Perhaps Tusiata Avia would like to write some poetry based on these gory articles. The pamphlet collection of Sir Robert Stout, Volume 69. What earned the Māori such a terrible name among the earlier visitors to the shores of New Zealand was not so much their reputation for ferocity in war as their cannibalism. Those who were well tattooed were beheaded on a block for the sake of their heads. Some of the remainder were slain by a blow or cut on the skull. On others, every refinement of cruelty was practiced, particularly the thrusting of a red-hot ramrod up the bowels. Children and youths were cut open, eviscerated, spitted and roasted over fires made from the defences of the dismantled pa. You can read the full article at the link in the description below. Personally, I find the material too violent, too disgusting and too disturbing to display in full. I find it difficult to believe that the Crown would want to enter into a 50-50 partnership with such violent tribes, never mind allowing them not to concede sovereignty. Thank you for listening. Wangari Tim.